Hello and welcome everyone to another engaging episode of Masters of PR Life. Tonight, we are diving deep into a topic that's often misunderstood yet absolutely critical in evolving landscape. And we are talking about brand refresh today. And who better to discuss this with someone who has not only driven brand narratives across diverse sectors like pharma to real estate to BFSI and now logistics, but has also been fearless strategist and a brand architect. Joining us today is the incredible, insightful, and experienced Jagruti Kirloskar, currently SVP and Head of Corporate Marketing at Anarock, and a passionate champion of integrated communication. Jagruti, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Vikram. It's an absolute pleasure to join you. And just a bit of correction right now, I am in between jobs.
Okay.
So, yes,
Okay.
I'm exploring a lot of brand management and really happy to be here talking to you, Vikram. So,
The
and
right time
this
to catch
topic,
you.
very much, and this topic is very much close to my heart. So, thank you for having me here.
That's lovely. So let me tell you, you guys, I have known Jagruti for almost 19 years now. I first met Jagruti as a rookie PR executive uh, when I was working with Sampark 19 years back, and she was my one of my first clients. So that's when I learned how clients can be so difficult to work with. And here we are, Jagruti. No, no, see, just kidding. But you've been a great client. You taught me a lot of things there. And see where you are today. We've been very good friends ever since then. And it's
Absolutely.
so nice to have you here on my show today. So let's begin.
Same here,
Let's
Vikram.
start with your Thanks. Let's start with a personal story. You had an incredible diverse careers across pharma, real estate, BFSI, logistics. What personal or professional experience have shaped your views on brand and communications the most?
Sure. So before we get into my personal story, which hopefully will be interesting for the viewers today, I want to first break down a very simple thing. What is brand? We all talk about brand. And I would really say, very simplistically, a brand is a sum of the product and its reputation. So it's a combination of your product, your service, plus the reputation, which actually creates that preference, right? And it's such a common sense. We all know that. And also to add to that, Vikram, we all as communicators in our spheres have always been working towards building something new, something different. So it all gets into the umbrella of branding or refresh. But my personal story, if I have to really put it through, and you rightly said the diverse experience has really shaped my views, or to better understand the nuances of communications and how it can have concentrated effort towards actually coming up with a brand refresh or a rebranding exercise. Um,
Mm,
what's more important, what it has taught me that a
mm,
brand isn't just a logo; it's a promise
yes,
and it's an
yes,
experience. Okay,
yes.
and then what does communication do? It really then becomes the art of communications, delivering something that is so consistent and something that is for a long term. We are not building something for tomorrow, we are building something for a very long term, and I think that's where we'll
Mm,
go ahead and talk about the legacy brands. So yes,
mm,
definitely
mm.
this has been a great experience.
You just spoke that brand refresh is not just a logo tweet or a new color palette. It's more strategic than that. What does meaningful brand refresh actually entail, and why is it so critical today?
Absolutely, Vikram. A brand refresh is definitely not just changing something in the logo or adding some colors to make it look better. It's definitely not that. It's so much more. And I think that's where the job of our communication experts really matter, because we have to get not only the senior management, but your employees who are your brand ambassadors all aligned towards this effort. Because this is a very, very intense effort. It can go on from half a year to 1 year, according to my experience,
Mm,
to even launch or even think of changing the logo. And logo change is, as per me, the last mile of the whole process. First, I think it starts with a strategy. Why do you
mhm,
really want to take that pause? Why do you want to realign your efforts? And Vikram, senior management may even come to you and say, "Hey, my sales are all going gungo. Why do I want to put my bucks in
Mm.
a brand refresh
Correct.
plan?"
Correct.
So they are like totally number driven, and rightfully so. They have to be number driven. But what this project or this campaign will entail is a long term view, and that's where
Mm.
the differentiation happens. So definitely it's much more. There is something called as brand audit that is a big
Mm.
part of this process before we even come down to say, hey, do we want to change our vision mission statements? Are we living our purpose statement? So definitely it's a very intense program, and
Mm.
logo change is just a minuscule part of it.
True. So brands like people evolve, and a brand
Mhm.
refresh, like it's not a wardrobe change; it's a reflection of a mindset, just like you just rightly said, of
Correct.
business realigning with purpose and market. So, when do you know it's the right time for a brand upgrade? Is there a checklist, or is it more of a strategic gut call?
Um, Very good question. It's definitely a mix of strategic gut call and clear market signals.
Hmm.
There's no rigid checklist, but I just made some notes because I knew you would ask me something like this. So, a few bullet points that I would want to share here is one is
Hmm.
perhaps a declining relevance or market share. So a company at some stage feels, hey, maybe we are not doing as well. Maybe we are not really reaching out to the right audience with the right message. So do we want
Hmm.
to really relook at how we are communicating to the audience? Okay.
Hmm.
Second, could be significant shifts in the target audience itself, because you have
Hmm.
been in the industry for so many years. The market
Yeah.
is dynamic. So obviously the customers are going to change. And
Hmm.
for example, Vikram, a company starts with one or two business lines. Down the line,
Hmm.
after a few years, they are diversified. They're doing a lot more. So the audience is just not, like one set of audience.
Hmm.
they're varied. Okay. So
Hmm.
then, is our message reaching out to all of them? Are they really understanding what our core values are and what we are serving them? A customer wants to know at the end of the day what's in it for me. And so, are we really able to decipher that? Is the question. Next, I would
Hmm.
say new market entrants or disruptive technologies. So we are
Hmm.
always bombarded with new things. So we have to live up to that. Our messaging has to live up to that.
Hmm.
Mergers, acquisitions, or major business
Hmm.
model changes can happen. Internal misalignment on brand identity, because we think something, my CEO thinks something else, and my employees are saying something else. So are
Hmm.
we all speaking the same language? Is very,
Right.
very important. Last but not the least, your brand visually or verbally feels dated or no longer reflects the aspirations.
Hmm.
So there should not be a mismatch about what you say and how you look.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's all about, I think, proactive adaptation, Vikram.
Correct. All
Yeah.
agree with everything that you said. But there is this one common concern that many companies
Hmm.
fear is that alienating the loyal customer base during the refresh. So, how do you strike a balance between staying rooted in brand heritage while embracing transformation?
Yeah, so this is again one of the fallacies that people think that I'm refreshing a brand, so I'm going to change everything. No, it's not
Mm,
like that. So
mm,
refresh is not a rebranding exercise. So there are two options. Either
mm,
you just go for a refresh, keeping the core values, vision, mission, purpose statements the same, but it's a refresh. You're infusing new energies into it, the way you communicate,
yeah.
etc. Or you go for a total rebranding, rehaul of the brand, because one may feel that, hey, we are not resonating with our target audience anymore. So balancing of heritage and keeping our values intact definitely can happen if you want. So your core values, your principles can remain the same, but the way you
Mm.
communicate, how you communicate, to whom you communicate, and at what frequencies you communicate will definitely drive the success of your program.
Perfect. So refresh doesn't mean forgetting who you are. It means
Oh, definitely not.
reintroducing you. Yes, it means reintroducing yourself to the world that's changed and showing them
Correct.
that you too have evolved. Great. So,
Yes.
coming to my next question, brand refresh versus rebranding. You just spoke about it. Terms that often get used interchangeably. How are they different, and how do you decide which path to take?
Sure. So, as I said, a lot depends on how you have utilized your pause. Okay. So,
Mm,
when you have really stepped back and you're thinking that, hey, I need to do something different in my brand strategy. So I think it's a combination of what is really required of you to do
Hmm.
versus what
Hmm.
your management wants to do. What is the appetite for change or appetite for
Mm.
risk? So there is nothing right or wrong. So basis
Mm.
this two fundamental things, there is an intersection where we play along, and that's been a
Mm.
challenge. There's not a answer, straight out answer, but I would say a brand refresh is for companies who want to evolve better. Whereas I
Hmm.
would say a rebranding could be like a revolution because you are going to change a lot. It's like a 360
Mm.
degree change.
Okay.
Um, so so that's the difference. So if you just want to infuse, as I said, new energies and make your brand more versatile, more energetic, more appealing, a brand
Mm.
refresh is a good way to go ahead.
Okay. But here
Yeah.
comes money. Let's talk ROI now. How can a
Mm,
communications leader make a solid base business case for a brand refresh, and what KPIs should be set to measure success? I've seen this happening. In fact, with a brand which went in for a major brand refresh exercise,
mhm,
invested a lot of money across all the mediums. They were visible, but later, that team was questioned. What did we achieve out of this? So, uh, what's the ROI and what are the measures to success?
Another very good question, Vikram. And I think we are not just asked this question after we launch something. I think we are
Yeah.
asked about this at every stage before we even
Mm.
kickstart this project.
Correct.
And as
Correct.
I said, it's a very, very important and vital question that your management
Mm.
or the investors will definitely ask you. So I
Mm.
would start with a simple thing. Do you want to build something for today or do you want to build for tomorrow? So
Mm.
if you really want to get into the legacy of it and make a reputation that is long lasting, and it's not
Mm.
really dependent on temporary market conditions and what we do. See, tomorrow I may change, the communicators may change, the industry might change, the clients might change. But once you have your reputation in place, I think that's unshakable. And that's so
Right.
important to have those core values and which are not dependent on someone's moving out. Okay, so even if I move out, I know that back in my office there will be a brand book which will be followed to the T and which will stand the times. Okay, so
Mm.
that's
Mm.
a very generic answer, but I have some pointers on that as well. So one, as
Mm.
I said, is to market share and revenue growth. So I definitely want to base on how it is impacting the outside world. Second is it really giving me higher conversation rates? Again, it's not overnight. If I do a brand
Mm.
refresh or a rebranding, it's not that my sales are going to shoot overnight. It's going to take some
Yeah.
time, but it's
Yeah.
going to create a brand image in the mind of my customer, and I think that's more important for me. And
Mm.
that's going to be a long standing thing.
Mm.
Third is employee engagement and talent attraction.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
often neglect our the benefits that it can bring to our own
Correct.
employees, which are actually the biggest brand ambassadors of a company. So
Mm.
when we get into a brand refresh, it is so important to even consider that, hey, the employees are going to have a fantastic time, and not only the present
Yeah.
employees but the future employees, because we are talking business, we are talking the value that the company is going to give you, and we are not going to go all over the place trumpeting about what my business does. And that creates some kind of noise in both in the minds of employees as well as the customers, and nobody likes noise in today's time. They want clear
Mm.
messaging, and I think that
Mm.
clear messaging, that clarity will only come in when we have clear message points through this exercise.
Mm.
Talking about the metrics, Vikram, there are a lot of brand equity metrics, and I know a lot of agencies who are
Mm.
around who can help get those metrics right. But the quickest way is to see, hey, how many clicks you're getting on your website, for example. Social media is a big platform where
Mm.
how many footfalls are there, what are the metrics, how many people are really engaging on your content, how they are
Mm.
viewing, how they are, translating, how are we able to convert them into customers. So social media is another. part. And customer engagement metrics can also go through social media and conversion rates that can be done through performance marketing, probably. Employee advocacy scores. So there are a lot of surveys that are
mm,
being done in today's time. So that can
yeah.
also give you a first-hand feedback on what your employees are thinking about this all.
Mm,
Last but
mm,
not the least, the market share and revenue impact, which will come over time.
mm.
Yeah,
Interesting. You spoke about employee advocacy, and let's touch upon that a little more. So, what you essentially meant was internal alignment is very crucial. So,
very
two
important. Yeah.
things here. What strategies would you use to get your leadership buy-in, and
Hmm.
what would you do to get your employee advocacy right during the refresh?
Um, so brand refresh, though, could be a seeded thought or an activity by a communicator or a marketing person. It can't really take off unless there is an alignment and a stakeholder buy-in. And when I
Yeah.
say that, it may not be only one person, okay? Because
Mm,
there are board of directors, there are investors
yes.
who
Yes.
who want to have a share of voice in this. So it's
Mm,
definitely, I wouldn't say this is a cakewalk. It's not a cakewalk. In fact, you have to make sure that everyone is aligned. So we need to show them the value, as we have spoken for the last few minutes, is that how is the impact? What impact
mm,
is going to get? And it's a long term impact. It's an impact that is
mm,
going to be for internal and external both. It is for the investors. So if a company is even um, thinking of IPO, for example, down the line, so
mm,
getting the house in order becomes so much more important for a company who wants to go for an IPO, for example, because you're watched, and it's a
mm.
fallacy that nobody's watching you. So every
Right.
word that goes
Right.
out of your company, whether it's social media or internal communications or your leader speaking at an event, what they speak and what we are portraying is all seen and heard. So we have to have a
Right.
unified voice. Yeah.
Interesting. Uh, you worked with both legacy brands as well as emerging challenges. How does your
Yes.
brand refresh approach differ between these two?
Interesting. Um, Generally speaking, Vikram, I think the legacy brands have at some point gone through a brand refresh. Be it Tata's, Godrej, they all have thought about brand refresh at some point in
Mm,
time, and rightfully so, because that's what they thought should be done. Because, as I
mm,
said, market dynamics are changing, business is getting diversified, there are management changes happening probably. So they do a brand refresh, but they have to be very, very careful that the core values, a purpose that they have set maybe 50 years ago or 100 years ago, is not really flipped too much. Okay.
mm,
So they have to be very sensitive towards that. So even this program becomes a highly, highly sensitive one. Where I see an opportunity for the newcomers or the newbies or the young companies or businesses, so to say, around, is that
mm,
they have more of a free hand to do or experiment things. They may choose to change the colors of the logo completely. Okay.
mm, mm.
They can really work around that, because you know I think that's the advantage that the non-legacy brands may do, because they are wannabe legacy brands at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, from your
But I
experience,
sorry.
yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just want to add that whether you are a legacy brand or not, I think the core
Mm,
remains the same. Whatever you do has to have an impact, and the
yeah,
message has to be very clear. The program has to be very, very sensitive. So that's a given.
totally agree. Yeah, coming
Yeah.
to my next question. From your experience, what are some common pitfalls during a brand refresh? Can you share a moment from your career when when something didn't go as planned, and how probably you would have tackled it or you tackled it,
Sure. So first of all, Vikram, I feel leadership buy-in is very, very important, and starts
right?
with presenting the refresh as not a creative exercise, but as a strategic imperative. directly
mm,
linked to the business growth and competitive advantage is something that's very important.
mm,
Frame it in terms they understand, because market opportunity, risk mitigation, and financial impact is something that we really want to drive through this.
mm,
Employee advocacy is also critical, because
mm,
employees are, as I said, your most authentic brand ambassadors. They live the
mm,
brand daily, as against the leaders, probably. Involve them early is what I
mm,
think. They live through all the communication, so we have to be very mindful of that and educate everyone thoroughly on why we are doing this, what is the
mm.
requirement, and empower
Mm.
them to communicate the new brand story. It's not
Yeah.
just a job of you or me to finally say, oh, we are going to change the logo, we are going to change a lot of colors. No, I think every employee, whether it's someone sitting in the AC office or someone on in the front line, I think the challenge or the success route is going to be that is everyone able to speak the same language. And last but not the least, again, I would say a refresh cannot truly succeed externally if it's not being done well internally. So
Internally.
definitely, yeah. So definitely getting employees in this together is very, very important.
So what's on the checklist if you need to draw up a quick checklist and say that these are the things that are important to have in place before you just jump into brand refresh? What do those few, you know, critical um, things be,
Um, the first would be answering the why. Okay.
right?
Uh, yeah, as an individual or as a team, the planning team, I think answering the why is very important on why we want to do this.
Yeah.
The second checklist would be, is it aligning with our philosophy, our
Mm-hmm.
requirement? Is
Mm,
it really aligning with what the customers are missing out on? Because why would we want to do this if our sales are good, if our customers are thinking highly about us, our colors, our messaging is already flamboyant to say,
mm,
okay?
mm,
I think this comes only with some identification of some gap. And I would
mm,
term that gap as an opportunity rather. Okay. So I think getting those opportunities right is my foremost thing to do in a checklist. Is that,
mm,
hey, I am going to target these opportunities, and that's why this brand refresh.
mm.
Okay. Third thing I would say, again, alignment, a stakeholder alignment is very, very important.
Right?
Fourth is, Vikram, everyone is aligned, everything is hunky dory, but hey, we can't just roll out something new out of our whims and fancies, right? So there
Mm,
is
mm,
something called as brand audit. So I would really
right.
say that every company or every business who wants to venture into this should do a very, very comprehensive, in-depth brand audit to first
Mm,
understand firsthand, that hey, what are our target audience really thinking about us? So it's just not the clients, it's the investors, the media, your own employees, the senior management. What are they all thinking about brand XYZ? And
mm,
then a lot of nuances will come through. I mean, there I have experienced that, we thought that there are just 1 to 3 points that we want to look into, but after doing the brand audit there were in fact much more, and they were like eye
mm,
openers to not just me but my senior management, saying that hey, we didn't even think about this, and there is such a
right.
big opportunity area. And something to add to the checklist would be how you really execute. It is someone's
Mm,
full-time job, Vikram. This is
mm,
not something that we will just get up some morning and say, "Aaj main
yeah.
brand refresh
Yeah.
karungi." So it's not going to be that. It's going to be a very planned, sustained effort, and it doesn't stop there. So once you roll out a brand refresh, I would like to really highlight the importance of monitoring it for the next 6 months, 12 months to
Mm,
understand, to
yeah.
gauge how it has been rolled out and what are the corrections that are required.
Yeah. And, that brings me to a very interesting question. In
Hmm.
fact, when, everybody is going through the brand refresh, today's audience are quite smart. They're
Oh,
conscious
very.
and even more skeptical. So,
Yeah.
how do you ensure authenticity in a refresh and avoid being seen as a very performative or superficial?
This is a difficult question. So I would say a brand refresh is not saying something that you are not. Okay.
Mm,
Brand refresh is highlighting what you're doing in a way that was not done before, probably.
mm,
So we are not going on, trumpeting something that was not there or inventing something new. It is just the right packaging of the right information to the right audience. So I think being authentic is just right there is very important.
mm. Correct.
Yeah.
So, but how do you ensure that this authenticity is clearly visible? I mean, uh, you know, in times like this today, when there is so much of noise and everybody wants to
Mhm.
be, best of everything, how do you really, make sure that there is this real authenticity building in and not, something that you're promising and not really delivering it? And how you as a, I'm talking about you as a communicator, how do you explain that to your leadership team?
I would still say the same thing, Vikram, that if you are going to stick to your core values and the narrative, and
Mm,
make sure that we show them the prospects, the ROI, I
mm,
think that's more important. Just to give you a quick example, if your customers only get to know or are bombarded with information that XYZ company does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 things, okay? Maybe they don't want to know that. They want to
mm,
know how this company is going to make a difference in the profits of their own business, that is the customer's business. So are
mm.
we actually storytelling? So brand storytelling comes at play here. Is Are we really addressing the customer's pain area? And I
Yeah.
think if that is identified and targeted, this becomes much more authentic and sustainable.
Great. So finally, what's your golden rule for anyone leading a brand refresh project from a scratch to success? Is there, one thing you've spoken a lot of things now? If you want to pick up one, golden rule that one should definitely follow, and more from a communicator's lenses or a marketing head's lens, what should be that?
Okay, so you are right. There are actually a lot of nuances, so I'll need to pick up something. Okay, um, I would say one golden rule for me would be always anchor the refresh in the business strategy, not just a creative campaign, of course. A brand refresh is a powerful business tool. It must be
Mm,
driven by clear strategic objectives and
mm,
measured by its contribution to those objectives. If you lose sight of the impact that it will create to the business, you risk a costly exercise because you might just end up doing some aesthetical change and not really contributing to the growth or the business impact. So I would really take this as a very strategic lever of growth,
mm.
and I would expect my stakeholders and the leadership buy-in to also agree that this is going to be a strategic project and not something we are doing to just improve temporary aesthetics of the brand.
Oh, great. So here's my key takeaway, Jagruti. So brand
Yeah.
refresh isn't a one-time campaign. It's a leadership mind shift. Own it, live it,
Yes,
and reflect it in everything that you do.
absolutely.
Amazing. So great. Thank you, Jagruti. What a masterclass in strategic brand thinking this was.
I hope
Yeah.
so.
And
There's so much
yeah,
more.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, of course, there is so much more, but thank you for this one. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing the wisdom and practical insights. For everyone watching, I hope this conversation has helped shift how you think about branding, not as a just as a visual change, but a leadership choice. So stay tuned and for more such episodes of Masters of PR Life, where communication meets transformation. Thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you, Jagruti, once again.
Thank you, Vikram, and thank you to all who have been here patiently listening to us. Thank you.
You're bang on them, 30 minutes sharp.
Thank you, Vikram.